The wind screamed through the Hindu Kush Mountains like the wail of 10,000 dying souls. October 1985. Afghanistan, the kind of cold that turned breath to ice crystals before it left your lungs. Lieutenant Viktor Volkov pressed his body against the rock face. 25 years old. Spetsnaz, Soviet Union's finest. His fingers had gone numb an hour ago. He'd stopped feeling his toes sometime around dawn. None of it mattered. Not the cold, not the altitude, not the American Stinger missiles that had turned the sky into a graveyard for Soviet helicopters. What mattered was the radio transmission crackling through his headset. Alexei's voice, his brother, 2 kilometers north, under fire. Victor keyed his mic. The words came out steady despite the fact that his heart was trying to punch through his ribcage. Alexei, report. Static, then gunfire. AK patterns, return fire. The distinct pop of Western weapons, M16S. CIA advisors arming the Mujahideen. American bullets killing Soviet soldiers in a war that didn't officially exist. Victor, his brother's voice, strained. We're pinned. They have position. High ground. We need... The sound that cut through the radio wasn't gunfire. It was something else. A whoosh, a roar, the unmistakable signature of a surface-to-air missile. An American Stinger missile, provided by the CIA, fired by Afghan fighters. Aimed at a Soviet MY-24 helicopter attempting to extract a pinned squad, Alexei's squad. Victor watched from 2 kilometers away as the helicopter became a fireball. Metal and flesh and bone raining down on the mountainside. No parachutes, no survivors, just smoke and screaming, and the knowledge that his brother had died because America had decided dead Russians served their interest. He stood there, watching the smoke rise, feeling something cold settle into his chest. Colder than the Afghan winter, harder than the mountain stone. 40 years, he told himself. However long it takes, America will pay. The scene shifted, the mountains remained. Different range, different time, same promise of death. Blue Ridge Mountains, North Carolina, October 2025. 40 years and 4 months since Alexei died. The wind here wasn't Afghan cold, it was warm, wet, hurricane force. But it screamed with the same promise of violence. Kira Donovan crouched behind a moss-covered boulder. 26 years old, SEAL Team 5, sniper. Her MK-11 rifle pressed against her shoulder, scope to her eye, finger resting alongside the trigger guard. Through the scope in the brief moments when rain and wind allowed visibility, she could see them. 8 men, armed, professional, moving with tactical discipline that marked them as military trained. And in the center of their formation on an improvised stretcher made from branches and a poncho, Captain Nathaniel Ashford, alive, barely. Broken leg bent at an angle that made her stomach turn. Blood soaking through his uniform in 3 separate locations. Her radio crackled. Master Chief Graham Callahan's voice. Steady, authoritative. Ghost, this is Alpha. Report status. She pressed the transmit button, kept her voice low. Alpha visual on 8 hostiles. Russian speakers. Captain Ashford alive but compromised. Serious injuries. They're moving him northeast. Request permission to engage. The pause stretched. 3 seconds. 4. An eternity when you're watching your commanding officer being carried away by armed men in the middle of a Category 4 hurricane. Negative Ghost. You are 1 operator against 8 hostiles in 0 visibility conditions. Observe only, that is a direct order. She watched through her scope as one of the men adjusted his grip on the stretcher. Captain Ashford's head lolled to the side. Even from 70 meters away, even through the range, she could see he was fading. Alpha, if I don't act now, we lose him. Ghost, you will follow orders. Observe and report. We will coordinate response when conditions allow. Acknowledge. Kira stared through the scope, at the captain who had defended her when others doubted, at the 8 men who thought they were safe because no one would be crazy enough to operate in these conditions, at the choice between the order and the mission. She thought about her father, about the choice he'd made. Alpha, I acknowledge, observe only, Ghost out. She lowered the radio, raised the rifle, started calculating wind drift and bullet drop for a shot she wasn't supposed to take. The screen went black. White text appeared. 15 years earlier, September 2010. Outer Banks, North Carolina. Hurricane Irene. Category 3. 12-year-old Kira Donovan stood in her family's living room watching her father check emergency supplies. Lieutenant Commander Sean Donovan. Coast Guard. Rescue swimmer. The kind of man who ran toward disasters while everyone else ran away. The house shook, wind gusts hitting 100 miles per hour. Rain hammering the windows so hard, it sounded like someone firing gravel from a shotgun. Sean noticed her watching, smiled. The kind of smile that said everything was under control even when the world was trying to tear itself apart outside. "Come here, kid." She walked over. He knelt down to her level, put his hands on her shoulders. "Close your eyes." She did. What do you hear? The wind, constant, screaming, but not constant. There was a rhythm to it. Peaks and valleys, gusts that hit like hammers, lulls that lasted maybe 30 seconds before the next wave. "The wind is changing," she said. "It was coming from the northeast. Now it's more from the east." "That's right," pride in his voice. "The eye wall is rotating as it passes. You can navigate by that if you know how to listen." He stood, grabbed his gear bag. "Storms have rules, Kira. They have patterns, rhythm. Most people just hear chaos. But if you listen, really listen, you can work with them instead of fighting them." Her mother, Dr. Patricia Donovan, looked up from her laptop. NOAA satellite imagery streaming real-time data. Hurricane researcher. She understood these systems on a molecular level. "Sean, you're teaching our 12-year-old daughter hurricane survival tactics. And someday she might need them." He turned back to Kira. "What's the most important thing to remember?" She'd heard this lesson before. Knew the answer. Don't fight them, work with them, respect the environment. Good, and remember some things are worth going into the storm for. That's what makes the difference between surviving and living. He picked up his bag. The radio on his belt crackled. Coast Guard dispatch. Multiple families trapped by storm surge. Rising water. Time running out. 3 hours later, Kira sat in the Coast Guard helicopter. Sean had insisted she come. Said she needed to see what the job meant. She watched her father dive into water that was trying to kill him. Watched him pull 3 families from homes that were already halfway underwater. Watched him go back, again and again, until everyone was safe. On the flight back, soaking wet, exhausted, he looked at her. "You understand now, this is what we do. When everyone else says it's impossible, we go anyway, because someone has to." She nodded, 12 years old, beginning to understand the weight of those words. October 2012. Hurricane Sandy, Category 3 when it hit the coast. Kira was 14. The television showed footage on repeat. A fishing boat, 5 crew. Stranded in 70-foot seas. Winds over 100 miles per hour. Mechanical failure. Taking on water. Going down. Her father suited up. Helicopter crew ready. The kind of mission that made experienced rescue swimmers pause. Patricia stood in the hallway. Doctor, scientist, woman who understood probability and risk. Woman who knew her husband was about to attempt something with single-digit survival percentage. "Sean," he stopped, looked at her. "Those are 5 people," he said. 5 families, 5 sets of kids who need their fathers to come home. "What about your kid?" He didn't answer, kissed her, walked out the door. The helicopter launched at 1400 hours, made it to the boat. All 5 fishermen extracted. Successful rescue. Perfect execution. The helicopter stayed airborne for 17 more minutes. Fighting winds, mechanical stress, systems pushed beyond limits. At 1417 hours, main rotor assembly failed. Catastrophic. Immediate. No time to react. The helicopter hit the Atlantic at 140 miles per hour. Broke apart on impact. Lieutenant Commander Sean Donovan and his entire crew killed instantly. The 5 fishermen they'd saved watched from the Coast Guard cutter. Watched the helicopter go down. Watched the ocean swallow the men who'd saved their lives. Arlington National Cemetery. October 2012. Military honors. 21 gun salute. Flag presented to Patricia Donovan. Folded triangle. Kira stood in her dress uniform, 14 years old, staring at the casket, at the flag, at the medal they were presenting to her, her father's rescue swimmer badge. The speaker was saying something about the Coast Guard motto. You have to go out, but you don't have to come back. She barely heard it, too busy making a decision, the kind that defines the rest of your life. She would become the kind of person who went out when everyone else said it was impossible. She would honor her father not by copying him, but by understanding what he understood. That some missions matter more than safety, more than protocol, more than survival. 13 years later, that decision brought her here. Present day, Blue Ridge Mountains, SEAL Team 5, training exercise. The briefing room smelled like coffee and old sweat. 6 operators around a metal table covered in topographical maps. Captain Nathaniel Ashford at the head, 45 years old, Desert Storm veteran. 15 years special operations. The kind of leader who'd earned respect the hard way. Hurricane Elena, he said, pointing at the weather projection. Currently Category 2, projected to weaken as it moves inland. We'll be conducting advanced navigation and survival training in the Blue Ridge Range while the storm passes. Controlled conditions, minimal risk. Senior Chief Marcus Lindgren leaned back in his chair. 43, built like a linebacker. Skeptical by nature. His eyes drifted to Kira. Captain, with respect, we're taking Donovan into field conditions during a hurricane. Ashford's expression didn't change. Petty Officer Donovan's qualification scores are perfect across all categories. Is there a specific concern, Senior Chief? She's 5'4" and 125 pounds. Field extractions require physical capability. That's not criticism. That's physics. Kira kept her face neutral. She'd heard variations of this conversation for 3 years, since she'd made it through selection, since she'd become the youngest female operator in SEAL Team 5's history. Master Chief Graham Callahan, 50 years old, Gulf War experienced team leader, held up a hand. Both of you stand down. Donovan's earned her spot. Lindgren, your concerns are noted. Now let's focus on the actual mission. The actual mission. 12 hours of movement through mountain terrain, navigation checkpoints, survival scenarios, standard training elevated by weather conditions. Except the forecast was wrong. They found that out 8 hours into the exercise. When Hurricane Elena, which was supposed to weaken, instead intensified. When Category 2 became Category 4. When meteorologists started using words like unprecedented and impossible. The wind hit first, gusts that went from 40 to 90 miles per hour in less than an hour. Then 100, then 140. Trees that had stood for centuries started coming down like matchsticks. The team was crossing a creek, normally 3 meters wide, ankle deep, easy crossing. The flash flood hit with no warning, a wall of water 3 meters high, mudslide debris in the surge, boulders, trees, enough force to flatten a building. Captain Ashford was on point, saw it coming, tried to warn the team, got caught in the surge before he could finish transmission. Kira watched him disappear. Watched the water take him. Watched his GPS beacon signal for exactly 12 seconds before it went dead. The team fought their way to high ground, found a cave, natural shelter, deep enough to protect from the worst wind, dry enough for comms. Master Chief Callahan pressed the radio transmit button. His voice carried the weight of a decision no SEAL wanted to make. Base, this is Bravo 5. Status update. Captain Nathaniel Ashford is presumed killed in action. Repeat, Captain Ashford is KIA. We have lost all GPS signal for 6 hours. Hurricane Elena has made recovery impossible. We are preparing to extract at first light. Over. The response crackled through encrypted channel. Copy Bravo 5, understood. Mark Captain Ashford as KIA. Authorization granted to extract your team when conditions allow. Our thoughts are with you. Base out. The cave fell silent. Just the sound of wind and rain. Of a storm that wasn't supposed to be this strong. Of a captain who wasn't supposed to be dead. Senior Chief Lindgren sat with his back against the cave wall, staring at nothing. 6 hours. Nobody survives 6 hours in this, not even the captain. Doc Sullivan, the team medic, checked his watch for the 100th time. Mudslide hit at 1400. It's now 2000. If the captain was injured when he went into that water, he didn't finish the sentence. They all knew the statistics. The survival rates, 0. The probability was 0. Near the back of the cave, partially hidden in shadow, Kira sat cross-legged on the stone floor. Her MK-11 sniper rifle lay disassembled before her, each component being methodically cleaned despite having been stored in waterproof case since the storm began. Her hands moved with mechanical precision. Ritual performed thousands of times, but her mind was elsewhere, remembering another hurricane, her father's voice, the lesson that had cost him his life. She started reassembling the rifle. Slow, methodical, each piece fitting into place. Master Chief Callahan walked over, stood looking down at her. Donovan, she looked up. You've been quiet. You good? I'm good, Master Chief. He studied her for a moment. At 26, she was the youngest member of SEAL Team 5, smallest at 5'4" and 125 pounds. Auburn hair pulled back in tight bun, pale skin showing evidence of years spent in sun and salt water. Green eyes that carried a focus some teammates found unsettling. They called her Ghost because she could disappear. One moment standing next to you, next moment gone. Some said it was because she was small and quiet. Others said it was something more. an ability to read terrain and shadow and become part of the environment. Perfect qualification scores didn't lie, but skepticism remained. Lindgren stood, moved to where Callahan and Kira were talking. Master Chief, we need to discuss extraction plans. When this storm clears enough for helicopter operations, we also need to discuss, he paused, glanced at Kira. Body recovery. Callahan's jaw tightened. I know, Senior Chief. Kira's voice cut through the sound of rain. Sir, I've been analyzing terrain. Captain Ashford went into water at grid coordinates 347891. Creek flows northeast. Current velocity with flood conditions approximately 12 to 15 miles per hour. Accounting for 6 hours drift, subtracting time for obstacles, his probable location within 3-kilometer radius of grid 350895. Lindgren stared at her. Donovan, the captain, went into flash flood during Category 4 hurricane. He's not at any grid coordinates. He's dead. Her expression didn't change. Senior Chief, I'm aware of statistical probability. But if there's any chance Captain Ashford survived, he would seek high ground with natural wind protection. I've been studying topographical maps. 3 locations within probable drift zone meet those criteria. Christ, Donovan, Lindgren shook his head. This isn't about hope. The man is gone. Kira began reassembling her rifle with smooth practice movements. Captain Ashford spent last month training us on terrain analysis and survival psychology. He taught us injured personnel instinctively seek 3 things: shelter from immediate threat, elevation for visibility, proximity to last known team location. If he survived initial impact, his training would take over. Master Chief Callahan crossed his arms. What are you suggesting, Donovan? She looked up at him, met his eyes directly. I'm suggesting Captain Ashford might still be alive. And if he is, we're running out of time. The cave fell silent. Doc Sullivan moved closer. Tommy Reeves, demolitions expert, stood as well, all eyes on Kira. Lindgren's voice carried an edge. Even if by some miracle the captain survived, which he didn't, we can't mount search and rescue in these conditions. Visibility 10 meters. Wind would knock a man off his feet. Trees falling every few minutes. Flash floods everywhere. It would be suicide. Kira finished reassembling her rifle. Stood. She was a full foot shorter than Lindgren, but she met his eyes directly. Senior Chief, I'm not suggesting we send whole team. I'm requesting permission to conduct solo reconnaissance. 1 hour. If I don't find actionable intelligence, I return and we proceed with body recovery at first light. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the storm seemed to quiet. Master Chief Callahan spoke carefully. Donovan, say that again. Permission to conduct solo reconnaissance for Captain Ashford. 1 hour. If I don't find actionable intelligence, I return. Lindgren actually laughed, short, bitter. You cannot be serious. You're a sniper, Donovan, trained to sit still and shoot from 1,000 meters. You're not search and rescue. And even if you were, you weigh 125. Captain is 195. You couldn't carry him 50 meters, let alone 3 kilometers, through hurricane. I don't need to carry him, Senior Chief. I need to find him and assess condition. If he's alive, I can stabilize and guide team to location when conditions improve. When conditions improve, he'll be dead from exposure or blood loss. If he isn't already, Kira's voice remained calm, then we'll have confirmation. But right now, we're making assumptions based on probability instead of evidence. Master Chief Callahan held up a hand. Everyone take a breath. He turned to Kira. Donovan, I appreciate dedication, but Senior Chief raises valid points. This is Category 4 hurricane, 0 visibility, extreme hazards. You're talking about going out there alone. Master Chief, I grew up in conditions like this. Training exercises aren't. Not training exercises, sir. Real hurricanes. Outer Banks, Hurricane Irene in 2010, Hurricane Sandy in 2012, multiple tropical storms every year. My father was Lieutenant Commander Sean Donovan, Coast Guard rescue swimmer. My mother is Dr. Patricia Donovan, senior hurricane researcher at NOAA. I spent my childhood learning to read storm patterns. She pulled a laminated topographical map from her pack, spread it on ground. Captain Ashford trained us on terrain analysis, high ground with wind protection. Here, here, and here. She pointed to 3 locations. Only positions within drift zone that meet survival criteria. I can check all 3 within 1 hour. Lindgren knelt beside the map. You're talking about moving 3 clicks through mountain terrain and hurricane-force winds in dark with 0 support. Donovan, this is insane. It's calculated risk, Senior Chief, and I'm the only person on this team with specific skill set required. What skill set? Being small and stubborn. Kira met his eyes. Understanding hurricanes, Senior Chief. My father taught me storms have rhythm. You don't fight them, you work with them. I can time movement with wind cycles. Navigate by sound and terrain features. My size is advantage. I can move through debris that would stop larger person. Master Chief Callahan studied the map, then looked at Kira. Your father, Lieutenant Commander Donovan, he's the one who died during Hurricane Sandy rescue operations. Yes, Master Chief. He saved 5 people before his helicopter went down. Callahan was quiet for a long moment. Rain drummed against mountainside. Thunder rolled through valley. Senior Chief, what's your assessment? Lindgren stood, jaw tight. My assessment is we would be sending one operator into death trap based on 1% chance Captain survived. And even if Donovan somehow found him alive, she couldn't extract him. We'd lose 2 people instead of 1. Noted, Callahan turned to Kira. Worst case scenario. You find Captain. He's alive but seriously injured. You can't move him. What's your play? Stabilize with field medicine. Mark location with GPS. Return with intelligence for coordinated extraction when conditions allow. And if you encounter hostiles, we intercepted that radio fragment. Someone else is out there. Avoid contact if possible. If forced to engage, eliminate threat and continue mission. Lindgren stepped closer. Donovan, listen to yourself. Soloing through Category 4, hurricane navigating 3 clicks mountain terrain in 0 visibility, potentially engaging enemy forces performing field medicine on critically injured man who weighs 70 pounds more than you. This isn't confidence. This is delusion. Kira's voice remained steady. Senior Chief, respectfully, you're wrong. This is exactly what I've trained for my entire life. She reached into her pack, pulled out small metal badge. Even in dim cave light, it gleamed. The Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer badge, her father's badge. My father died doing the impossible to save 5 strangers. I'm proposing to risk my life to save 1 teammate. That's not delusion, Senior Chief. That's what we do. The cave fell silent again. Master Chief Callahan looked at the badge in Kira's hand, then at her face. He saw something there. Not bravado, not recklessness, certainty. He'd seen that look before. In eyes of operators who absolutely knew they could accomplish a mission everyone else thought impossible. 1 hour, Callahan said quietly. Lindgren turned sharply. Master Chief, 1 hour Donovan, you check those 3 grid locations. Radio check every 15 minutes on encrypted channel. If you miss single check, we mark you KIA and extract at first light. If you encounter hostiles, disengage immediately and return. If you find Captain deceased, return. If you find him alive but cannot safely move him, mark location and return. Are these orders clear? Crystal clear, Master Chief. And if I give direct order to abort at any point, you follow immediately. No hesitation, no heroics. Understood. Understood, Master Chief. Lindgren's voice was tight with anger. Graham, this is a mistake. We're going to lose her out there. Callahan kept eyes on Kira. Maybe, but she's right about one thing. We're making assumptions without evidence. If there's any chance Captain Ashford is alive, we owe it to him to check. He paused. Donovan, you have 1 hour starting moment you leave this cave. Not 1 minute more. Kira nodded once. She returned her father's badge to pack, began checking gear. MK-11 sniper rifle, secured in waterproof case, GPS unit, fully charged, encrypted radio, designated channel, first aid kit, emergency beacon, night vision goggles, handheld compass as backup navigation. She moved through checklist with mechanical precision. Hands steady, Doc Sullivan approached. Ghost, take this. He handed her extra morphine auto-injector. If Captain's hurt as bad as we think he'll need it. Thanks, Doc. Tommy Reeves offered 2 additional fragmentation grenades, just in case those hostiles are real. Make noise, create chaos. Get out. Appreciate it, Breacher. She strapped on tactical vest, secured rifle across back, pulled up hood. Gore-Tex rain gear rated for extreme weather. She knew it would be tested beyond specifications. Master Chief Callahan walked her to cave entrance. Sound of hurricane deafening. Rain came down in sheets so thick it looked like solid wall. Donovan, I'm putting a lot of faith in your judgment. Don't make me regret this. I won't, Master Chief. And Donovan. He met her eyes. Your father would be proud. Something flickered across her face, then she nodded once, stepped toward entrance. Senior Chief Lindgren called out behind her. Ghost, this is suicide. You know that, right? You're going to die out there for nothing. Kira paused at threshold, between shelter and storm. She turned back. rain already soaking through the hood. If I die trying to save Captain Ashford, Senior Chief, then I die understanding what my father understood, that some missions matter more than survival. That's not nothing. And then she stepped into the hurricane. The wind hit her like physical blow, nearly knocked her off feet. Rain struck her face with enough force to sting. Visibility dropped to perhaps 3 meters. Thunder crashed overhead so loud it felt like artillery fire. Kira Donovan stood for a moment at edge of maelstrom, letting her body remember what her mind had learned 15 years ago on Outer Banks. She closed her eyes, listened. There, the rhythm. Peak winds lasting about 45 seconds, then relative calm for 30, then another cycle. The hurricane had patterns, had rules. You just had to know how to hear them. She opened her eyes, checked compass. Northeast, 3.2 kilometers, 3 potential locations, 60 minutes. Kira began to move. She timed steps with wind cycles, using brief lulls to cover ground, bracing during gusts. She navigated by terrain feel as much as sight, boots finding purchase on stone and route by instinct. Lightning flashes gave momentary glimpses of landscape. Thunder told her when storm's energy was concentrating. This was what her father had taught her. Hurricane wasn't enemy, it was environment. And like any environment, you could learn to survive in it. 15 minutes into movement, radio crackled. Ghost, this is Alpha, first radio check. Status. She pressed against large oak tree, using it as windbreak. Alpha, this is Ghost. En route to checkpoint 1. No enemy contact. Visibility approximately 3 meters. Continuing northeast. Copy Ghost. Next check in 15. Alpha out. The tree groaned ominously. Kira moved away just as massive branch snapped off and crashed to ground where she'd been standing 3 seconds earlier. She didn't flinch, just adjusted route and continued moving. At 23 minutes, she found first evidence. Section of torn fabric caught on thorn bush. She pulled it free, examined it in lightning flash. Standard issue tactical uniform, same pattern Captain Ashford had been wearing. Fabric was fresh, still bleeding dye into rain. He'd been here, or at least his gear had. Kira marked location on GPS, continued northeast, following logical terrain features trained operator would use. High ground, natural channels, avoiding valleys where flash floods would be most dangerous. At 31 minutes, she found boot print. It was in small depression where mud had collected between 2 rocks, rain washing it away even as she looked. But pattern was clear. Size 11 combat boot. Captain Ashford's size. Oriented northeast. He'd been moving, recently. Her heart rate increased. She keyed radio. Alpha, this is Ghost. Second check. I have evidence Captain was mobile within last hour. Boot print. Fresh fabric. Continuing search pattern. Master Chief Callahan's voice came back immediately. Copy Ghost. Explain mobile. Boot print indicates he was walking northeast, likely following high ground. Print is less than 2 hours old based on erosion patterns. Pause. If he was walking 2 hours ago, where is he now? That's what I'm trying to find out, Master Chief. Ghost out. She pressed forward with renewed urgency. If Captain Ashford had been mobile 2 hours ago, he might still be conscious, still fighting. At 38 minutes, Kira heard voices. She froze instantly, every sense heightening, wind howling, rain hammering. But underneath those sounds carried on brief lull and storm human voices speaking, not English. Kira moved into low crouch, advanced towards sound with careful precision, reached ridgeline and dropped prone, pulled out rifle scope to use his observation tool. Through rain and darkness illuminated by periodic lightning, she saw them. 4 men in tactical gear, moving in coordinated search pattern, professional spacing, hand signals, military trained, and the language they were speaking was Russian. One man spoke into radio. During lightning flash, she got clear look at his face. Older, maybe 65, Slavic features, scar tissue on left cheek, moving with confidence of someone who'd spent decades in special operations. Kira recognized this man from intelligence briefings. Viktor Volkov, former Russian Spetsnaz, dishonorably discharged 2008, now mercenary who trained militia groups and criminal organizations throughout United States. FBI had file on him 2 inches thick, and he was here, in North Carolina mountains, during hurricane, with at least 3 other armed men. Volkov was gesturing to his men, pointing northeast, searching for something, or someone. Then Kira saw what made her blood run cold. One man dragging something, improvised stretcher made from branches and poncho. On that stretcher, barely visible through rain, was Captain Nathaniel Ashford. He was alive, but he was their prisoner. Kira's mind raced through tactical options: four armed men, professional training, unknown additional forces. She was alone with sniper rifle optimized for long-range engagement. The smart play was observe, gather intelligence, report back. But Captain Ashford was right there, 100 meters away, and they were moving him farther from friendly territory with every step. She thought of her father, the choice he'd made in that helicopter. Kira keyed radio, kept voice barely above whisper. Alpha, this is Ghost. Emergency traffic. Go ahead, Ghost. I have visual on Captain Ashford. He is alive, being held by four armed hostiles. Russian speakers. Leader matches description of Viktor Volkov from threat assessments. They're moving him northeast, likely to extraction point. Request immediate guidance. The pause felt like eternity. Ghost, this is Alpha. Confirm you said four armed hostiles. Affirmative. Professional tactics, military-grade equipment. Appear to be using Hurricane as cover for operation. Another pause. Longer. Ghost, you are ordered to observe only. Do not engage. Maintain visual contact and provide updates. We will coordinate response when conditions allow. Acknowledge. Kira watched as four men continued moving Captain Ashford away. Even at this distance, even in darkness, she could see he was injured. Leg bent at unnatural angle, uniform soaked with blood. How long did he have? Ghost, acknowledge the order. She pressed transmit. Alpha Y acknowledge, observe only. Ghost out. But even as she said the words, Kira Donovan was moving, sir. Circling around hostile force, using terrain and storm to mask movement, counting weapons, observing patterns, looking for weaknesses. Because she knew something Master Chief Callahan didn't know yet. Observe only wasn't going to be enough. Not when Captain Ashford's life was measured in minutes. Not when four armed men thought they were alone in storm, and not when Ghost was hunting them. She reached into tactical vest, pulled out her father's rescue swimmer badge, held it for a moment, feeling weight. You have to go out, she whispered to Storm. Then she secured badge, checked rifle, began to move like Ghost she was named for. The hunt had begun. Viktor Volkov pulled tactical jacket tighter against wind. 65 years old, should have been retired, should have been in Moscow apartment drinking vodka. Instead, he was in North Carolina mountains, in Hurricane, carrying out operation that would either make him rich or get him killed. Probably both. He looked down at American officer on stretcher. Captain, special operations, perfect catch. Exactly what client wanted, test run they'd called it. Prove we can snatch U.S. military during natural disasters. Prove concept works, then scale up. Volkov didn't care about politics, didn't care about grand strategy, he cared about money. And he cared that 40 years ago, American Stinger missile killed his brother. This captain probably wasn't even born when Alexei died. Didn't matter. America killed his brother. This was equilibrium, delayed but inevitable. His radio crackled. Dimitri's voice. Victor reinforcements 15 minutes out. 6 men, heavy weapons. Good, 10 men total. More than enough for whatever Americans could throw at them in these conditions. Hurricane was perfect cover. Nobody would be operating in this. Nobody sane. He keyed Mike. Copy, maintain formation. We'll hold position at rally point and wait. Movement, to his left, just for a second. Could have been wind, could have been debris, could have been something else. Volkov's hand went to rifle. Decades of training taking over. He signaled men, 2 fingers, eyes left. Possible contact. They shifted formation instantly. Professional, ready, nothing. Just rain and wind and darkness. Volkov relaxed slightly. Paranoia, natural and hostile territory. He turned back to stretcher. Back to American captain worth $500,000, who represented 40 years of waiting. He didn't see shadow that had been watching, didn't hear footsteps that made no sound, didn't know someone was out there. Someone small, someone trained, someone who understood hurricanes better than she understood her own heartbeat. Someone who had decided observe only was suggestion, not order. Kira maintained distance of 70 meters, using terrain to stay invisible. Small size allowed her to move through gaps in undergrowth that would catch on larger person's gear. Intimate knowledge of storm patterns let her anticipate when wind would gust and when it would lull. Timing movements accordingly, she watched them through rifle scope during lightning flashes, memorizing patterns. Point man cautious, checking corners before signaling team forward. 2 middlemen taking turns carrying stretcher. Professional rotation, Volkov walking rear guard, constantly scanning. They were good, very good, but predictable. And Kira had been training for this her entire life. Not combat, the environment, the storm, the conditions that made normal operations impossible. That was her advantage. Understanding. At 45 minutes into original 1-hour timeline, radio crackled. Ghost, this is Alpha. Third check, status. She pressed against moss-covered boulder, using it as cover and windbreak. Alpha continuing to track hostile force. 4 combatants confirmed. Captain appears conscious but seriously injured. They're moving to high ground, probable extraction or rally point. Distance to their position 70 meters. Master Chief Callahan's voice carried edge. Ghost, you are 15 minutes from mission timeline expiration. You need to break contact and return to base. That's direct order. Kira watched through a scope as one man stumbled, nearly dropped stretcher. Captain Ashford's head lolled aside. He was weakening. Alpha, if I break contact now, we lose Captain. They're moving him away from our position at approximately 1 kilometer per hour. By time conditions allow team movement, they'll be gone. Pause stretched long. Ghost, you've been out there 46 minutes in Category 4 conditions. You need to think about your own survival. Get back while you still can. Master Chief, I'm thinking about Captain Ashford's survival. Right now, I'm only asset we have in position to ensure it. Senior Chief Lindgren's voice cut through the channel. Donovan, get your ass back here right now. That's not request. Kira didn't respond. She was watching one man pull out thermal imaging equipment, scanning surrounding area for heat signatures. Rain and wind would degrade thermal significantly, and Kira's position behind boulder provided thermal masking. Rock's retained heat would help hide her signature, but if she moved, if she exposed herself, they would see her. She stayed perfectly still. Man with thermal scanners swept across her position, paused, swept back. Kira held breath. Heart rate elevated from exertion meant elevated body heat, but boulder was large and rain was cold. Temperature differential should be enough. Should be. Man said something to Volkov in Russian, shook head, no contacts, put thermal gear away. Kira exhaled slowly. Radio crackled again. Master Chief Callahan's voice. Ghost, you have missed your return timeline. You are now officially overdue. Respond immediately. She keyed Mike. Alpha, I'm looking at Captain Ashford through scope right now. He's losing blood, losing consciousness. If I leave now, we lose our only chance to save him. She paused. My father died saving 5 people in hurricane. I'm asking permission to save 1. Silence on radio stretched 10 full seconds. When Callahan spoke again, voice was different, quieter. What's your plan? Ghost, Senior Chief Lindgren's voice erupted in background. Graham, you cannot be seriously considering. Quiet, Marcus. Callahan's voice came through clear. Ghost, I'm asking directly. What is your tactical plan? Kira quickly assessed situation through scope. 4 hostiles, 2 on perimeter security, 1 tending to captain. Volkov commanding. Current range 85 meters. Wind gusting approximately 60 miles per hour with lulls every 45 seconds. Rain heavy but consistent. I have clear lines of sight on both perimeter guards. Ghost, you cannot engage 4 hostiles solo in these conditions. I can eliminate perimeter guards before they raise alarm. Then it's 2 against 1, and I have surprise. And then what? You still can't carry Captain Ashford out. I don't need to carry him, Master Chief. I need to secure him and hold a position until team can link up. We can't link up for hours, maybe not until morning. Then I hold until morning. You'd be holding against unknown enemy reinforcements with limited ammunition and no support. Kira watched 1 perimeter guard move to new position, approximately 95 meters from her location. Elevated position, exposed silhouette against slightly lighter sky. Predictable patrol pattern. Master Chief, I'm looking at tactical opportunity that won't exist in 5 minutes. These men think they're safe. They think nobody is crazy enough to be out in this hurricane. They're wrong. I'm here and I can do this. Another long pause. Senior Chief, your assessment. Lindgren's voice tight with anger. My assessment is Petty Officer Donovan is disobeying direct orders and proposing suicide mission that will result in her death and possibly compromise our entire team position when those hostiles capture her radio. We should consider her rogue operator and extract at first light. Noted. Dock your assessment as medic. How long does Captain have? Sullivan's voice grim. Based on Ghost's description of injuries, if he has compound tib fracture and significant blood loss from shrapnel wounds, he's got maybe 2 to 3 hours before hypovolemic shock becomes irreversible. That's assuming he's not bleeding internally, which he probably is. That's assuming hostiles are providing some basic care, which they might not be. So we're on clock regardless. Yes, Master Chief. If we wait until morning, we're probably recovering body. Mr. Callahan was quiet for a moment. Ghost, I'm going to ask one question, and I want honest answer. Can you actually do this? Kira thought about every hurricane she'd survived, every lesson her father taught, every hour on range perfecting craft, every moment of SEAL training that pushed her beyond what she thought possible. Yes, Master Chief, I can do this. Then do it. You are authorized to engage at your discretion. Eliminate immediate threats. Secure Captain Ashford. Hold position until we can effect link-up. We'll start moving toward your position as soon as we have sufficient visibility. He paused. Stay on comms. And Ghost. Yes, Master Chief. Don't make me regret this. I won't, sir. Ghost out. Kira settled into firing position behind Boulder. Extended rifle's bipod, locked it against stone, activated night vision scope, began calculating shot, range to first target, 95 meters. Wind gusting between 45 and 70 miles per hour from northeast. Rain heavy, consistent, target moving in patrol pattern. Approximately 1 meter lateral movement every 8 seconds. Shot was difficult, not impossible. She'd made harder shots during training, but never in Category 4 hurricane. Never with teammates' life hanging in balance. Kira controlled breathing, let heart rate settle, became aware of wind patterns, waiting for rhythm. The cycle her father had taught her. Peak winds, then lull. Perimeter guard paused at northern edge of patrol route, looking outward, away from her position, scanning for threats he didn't believe existed. Kira waited for wind to lull. Gust peaked, began to fade. Rain continued, but lateral pressure decreased. For 30 seconds, Hurricane took breath. Guard turned slightly. Profile became visible. Kira exhaled half her breath. Finger moved to trigger. Calculated wind drift. At 95 meters in 60 mile per hour, wind bullet would drift approximately 6 inches. She adjusted aim 6 inches into wind. Squeezed trigger. Suppressed rifle made sound like sharp cough, immediately swallowed by storm. Through scope, she saw guard's head snap back. He dropped instantly, falling behind Boulder he'd been standing next to. Body landed in position where other guards couldn't immediately see him. One down. Kira worked bolt smoothly, chambering another round. Shifted aim to second perimeter guard. Eastern side of position, approximately 110 meters away. This guard more alert, scanning actively, moving unpredictably. He seemed to sense something wrong. Even though he couldn't have heard shot or seen partner fall, Kira waited. Patience was sniper's greatest weapon. Second guard moved to new position, then paused, bringing radio to mouth, checking in with first guard. When first guard didn't respond, second would raise alarm. Kira had maybe 15 seconds. She tracked him through scope. He was moving toward first guard's position, concerned by lack of response. Walking quickly, weapon at ready, then he stepped into open area. 3 meters of clear ground between two rock formations. Kira fired. Bullet caught him center mass. He staggered, tried to raise weapon, collapsed. 2 down. But this guard fell in exposed position. Men at main shelter would see him. She heard shouting in Russian. Through scope, she saw Volkov react immediately. Grabbed Captain Ashford, hauled him behind largest boulder. Remaining guard took defensive position, scanning for shooter's location. They knew someone was out there now, but they didn't know where. And in these conditions, with this visibility, she still had advantage. Kira relocated, moved 20 meters to east, using storm and terrain to mask movement. Found new firing position on higher ground, giving her different angle on shelter. Radio crackled. Ghost, we heard shots. Report status. Alpha 2 hostiles down, 2 remaining including Volkov. They've gone defensive. Captain secured behind hard cover. I'm repositioning. Copy. Do you need support? Negative, I have this. Ghost out. Through new vantage points, she could see remaining guard. He was good. Wasn't exposing himself. Using cover effectively. Communicating with Volkov, who was somewhere deeper in shelter. Kira needed to draw them out. She picked up rock. Threw it 40 meters to her left. It clattered against stone, creating sound that carried even through wind. Guard reacted instantly. Fired 3 rounds towards sound. Muzzle flash gave away exact position. Kira aimed and fired in one smooth motion. Guard dropped. 3 down, 1 remaining. But last one was Viktor Volkov, former Spetsnaz, man who had survived decades of combat. He wasn't going to make same mistakes his men made. She heard his voice, calling out in Russian-accented English. American sniper. Very impressive. You killed 3 of my men in Hurricane. This is professional work. Kira didn't respond, scanning shelter through scope, looking for any exposure, any opportunity. I know you can hear me, Volkov continued. You are SEAL, yes. You are here for your captain. I respect this. Is honorable. She repositioned again, moving to spot where she could see different angle. I make you offer, Volkov called out. You leave now. I let your captain live. You stay, I kill him. Is simple choice. Through gap in rocks, Kira caught glimpse of movement. Volkov was shifting position, and he had Captain Ashford with him, using Captain as human shield. I count to 10, Volkov shouted. If you don't show yourself, I shoot your captain. 1, 2, 3. Kira's mind raced. She couldn't get clean shot. Volkov too well protected, keeping Captain Ashford between himself and probable sniper positions. 4, 5, 6. She needed to change equation, create new dynamic. 7, 8. Kira made decision, keyed radio on open channel. One Volkov's equipment might intercept. Spoke loud enough to carry. Volkov, this is SEAL Team 5. You are surrounded. We have your position locked. Surrender now and you might survive this. Volkov laughed. Sound carried through storm. Clever, but I am not fool. If you had full team, you would have assaulted already. You are alone, one person. Very skilled person. But alone. He was right, and he knew it. 9. Kira's finger on trigger. But no shot. Captain Ashford's life measured in seconds. 10. She heard gunshot. Single round. Her heart stopped, but then she heard Captain Ashford's voice, weak but clear. Missed you, Russian bastard. Volkov hadn't shot to kill, shot to wound, to emphasize his control. Next time I don't miss, Volkov called out. You have 30 seconds. Show yourself or he dies. Kira assessed options. Reveal position. Likely get killed, but might buy Ashford time. Hold position and hope for opening. Would definitely result in Captain being executed. Or create distraction big enough to force Volkov to react. She reached for one fragmentation grenade Tommy Reeves had given her. Throw would reveal position, but would also force Volkov to move. And when he moved, she might get shot. Kira pulled pin, threw grenade in high arc. It sailed through rain and landed 30 meters from shelter. Opposite side from her position. Explosion was deafening even through storm. Rock fragments and debris flew in all directions. Volkov reacted exactly as she'd hoped. Assumed explosion meant enemy assault from that direction. Shifted position to face new threat, dragging Captain Ashford with him for just a moment. 2-second window. His head was exposed. Kira fired. Bullet struck rock 6 inches from Volkov's head, showering him with fragments. She'd missed. Wind had shifted at last instant, but near miss had desired effect. Volkov abandoned position, hauling Captain Ashford deeper into shelter complex, into space where Kira had no line of sight. She had driven him back, but she still couldn't get to Captain Ashford. Radio came alive. Ghost, we heard explosion. Status. Alpha, I'm in tactical engagement with the primary hostile. Captain alive, but being used as shield. Situation fluid. Standby. Ghost, do you need support? We can start moving toward your position. She considered it. SEAL Team 5 was at least an hour away in these conditions. Maybe more. And if Volkov had called for reinforcements, they might arrive first. Negative Alpha. Hold position. I can handle this. But even as she said it, Kira heard something that changed everything. Through storm, barely audible. Sound of vehicles, multiple engines. Diesel. Heavy. They were distant, maybe 2 kilometers away, but getting closer. Volkov heard them too, called out with renewed confidence. You hear my reinforcements arrive. 6 more men. Maybe you kill me, yes, very possible, but then 6 more kill you and your captain. Is no win for you. Kira checked ammunition. 21 rounds remaining in rifle. 2 grenades, sidearm with 2 magazines. 6 more trained fighters would make this situation impossible. Unless she acted now. She moved again, working way around a southern approach to shelter. Long way, but would put her in position where she might see into deeper part where Volkov was hiding. Movement took precious minutes. Sound of vehicles grew louder. Maybe kilometer away now. Kira reached new position, looked through scope. She still couldn't see Volkov clearly, but she could see Captain Ashford, propped against rock wall, barely conscious, left leg bent at grotesque angle, Blood soaked through uniform in multiple places. She needed to reach him. But between her and Captain was 50 meters of open ground Volkov would have covered. Vehicles were close now, maybe 500 meters. She could see headlights through rain, bouncing as they navigated rough terrain. Kira made decision that would have seemed insane to anyone else. She was going in, not with careful sniper precision, not with tactical patience. With speed and aggression and absolute refusal to leave Captain Ashford behind, she slung rifle across back, drew sidearm, pulled second grenade and primed it, and then she ran towards shelter at full sprint. The 45-meter dash through hurricane was longest of her life. Wind tried to knock her down. Rain blinded her. Uneven ground threatened to turn ankle with every step. Volkov saw her coming, shouted in surprise. Raised weapon. She threw grenade toward his position and dove behind boulder. Explosion rocked entire shelter. Debris rained down, dust and smoke mixed with rain. Kira came up firing. 3 rounds toward where Volkov had been. Then she was moving again, bounding from cover to cover, closing distance. She heard Volkov's weapon firing, heard bullets impact stone around her, but she kept moving, kept pressing, kept attacking. She reached shelter entrance and swept inside. Weapon up, scanning for targets. Captain Ashford was there, exactly where she'd seen him. But Volkov was gone, retreated deeper into rock formation. Ghost, Captain's voice weak. That you, Daw? Yes, sir. I'm getting you out of here. Volkov, he's still? I know, sir. Stay quiet. Save strength. Kira quickly assessed injuries. Compound tibial fracture, just as she'd thought. Shrapnel wounds to shoulder and side. Significant blood loss. He was in bad shape. She pulled out field medical kit, went to work. Pressure bandages on bleeding wounds. Splint for broken leg using materials from PAC. Morphine injection to manage pain. Doc, Captain Ashford mumbled. You're good, Doc. I'm not Doc, sir. I'm Ghost. I'm Sniper. But I'm going to patch you up anyway. While she worked, she kept pistol within reach, attention on deeper recesses of shelter. Volkov was back there somewhere. Wounded maybe, definitely angry, and his reinforcements would arrive in minutes. She keyed radio. Alpha, I have secured Captain Ashford. He's alive but critical. I'm administering first aid now. Master Chief Callahan's voice came back with unconcealed relief. Ghost, that's outstanding work. What's your situation? Primary hostile still active but retreated into shelter. 6 additional hostiles inbound via vehicle. ETA approximately 3 minutes. I need immediate extraction guidance. Stand by. Kira continued working on Captain Ashford's wounds. She could hear Volkov moving in darkness. Could hear him speaking Russian into radio, probably updating reinforcements. Vehicles stopped somewhere close. She heard doors opening, voices calling out in Russian. Alpha, they're here. I need that guidance. Ghost, we're moving to your position. But we're at least 40 minutes out. Can you evade and hide until we arrive? Kira looked at Captain Ashford, barely conscious. No way she could move him quickly enough to evade 6 fresh fighters. Negative, Alpha. Captain cannot be moved fast enough. We'd be run down in minutes. Another pause. Then you need to hold that position, Ghost. Defend in place. We're coming as fast as we can. Copy, Alpha. Defending in place. Ghost out. Captain Ashford's eyes focused on her. Ghost, you need to leave. Get out while you can. Not happening, sir. That's an order. Respectfully, sir, I'm declining that order. Ghost of Smile touched his lips. Never thought my own lessons would be used against me. Yes, sir. Now stay quiet. I need to concentrate. Kira moved to shelter entrance. Assess tactical situation. Limited ammunition. 6 incoming hostiles plus Volkov. Captain immobile. Reinforcements 40 minutes away. Numbers didn't add up to survival, but numbers had never stopped her father, and they wouldn't stop her. She checked a rifle. 21 rounds. Make each one count. Heard voices getting closer. They were organizing, probably getting briefing from Volkov about what they were facing. One female sniper who had killed 3 of their comrades and refused to quit. They would be angry. They would be cautious. They would be coming in force. Kira settled into defensive position where she could cover most likely approaches. Controlled breathing. Thought of her father. Then she waited for them to come. First figure appeared at shelter entrance. Kira fired twice. Figure dropped. 4 down, 6 to go. The night was about to get very long. The shelter entrance erupted in gunfire. Bullets ricocheted off stone-filling confined space with scream of fragmenting metal and acrid smell of gunpowder. Kira pressed herself against rock wall, making body as small as possible while maintaining line of sight on approaches. She had just killed fourth man. 6 remained, including Viktor Volkov. Incoming fire was disciplined, coordinated. These weren't panicked shots from untrained fighters. These were controlled bursts designed to suppress her position while other elements maneuvered. Military tactics, professional execution. Kira counted weapons by sound signatures. At least 3 AK pattern rifles. 1 heavier caliber, probably designated marksman rifle. Unknown number of sidearms. They were setting up proper assault. Captain Ashford lay behind her, propped against shelter wall. Morphine had taken edge off pain, but he was still fading. Breathing shallow, kin pale even in dim light. Blood continued seeping through pressure bandages despite her best efforts. He needed hospital, needed it hours ago, but first they needed to survive next 20 minutes. Gunfire stopped. Kira used moment of silence to reload rifle with fresh magazine. 19 rounds remaining in current mag. 2 more full magazines in vest. 47 total rounds between survival and death. Voice called out from beyond shelter entrance. Russian accented English. Not Volkov's voice. Someone new. American woman, you fight well. You kill 4 of our men. This is impressive, but you must know you cannot win. We are 6, you are 1, and you have injured man who cannot run. This mathematics is simple. Kira didn't respond. She was scanning shelter, looking for additional defensive advantages. Rock formation had multiple small openings where water and wind entered, most too small for a person to fit through, but they created angles where incoming fire could penetrate. She needed to relocate Captain Ashford to more protected position. Voice continued. We do not wish to kill you. You are valuable. American Special Forces sniper who is woman. This is rare. You have intelligence value. Surrender now. You and your captain both live. We get paid. Everyone wins. Kira moved to Captain Ashford's position. Keeping low, grabbed his tactical vest, started dragging him deeper into shelter, toward more defensible alcove. Ghost, Captain mumbled. Leave me, get out. No, sir, we've been through this. That's direct order. I heard you first time, sir, still declining. She got him positioned in alcove, which had only one approach angle. Better, not good, but better. Voice outside grew harder. We give you 30 seconds to decide. Throw out your weapons and come out with hands visible. Or we assault with full force. You will die. Your captain will die. 30 seconds. Choose. Captain Ashford's hand gripped her arm weakly. Kira, listen to me. I'm dying anyway. Blood loss, internal injuries. I'm not making it out of here. But you can. You're fast. You know this terrain. Use storm. Disappear like you always do. That's why they call you Ghost. She met his eyes. Sir, my father taught me some missions matter more than following protocol. This is one of those missions. So with all due respect, I'm staying. God damn it, Donovan. That's not bravery. That's stupidity. Maybe, but it's my choice. She checked rifle. Besides, I'm not done fighting yet. 20 seconds. Kira keyed radio. Alpha, this is Ghost. Hostiles preparing to assault my position. I am dug in with Captain Ashford in defensive position. Request immediate update on your ETA. Master Chief Callahan responded instantly. Ghost, we are approximately 40 minutes from your position. Can you hold that long? I'm going to have to, Master Chief. Ghost, if situation becomes untenable, you are authorized to surrender. We will negotiate for your release. Do not throw your life away. Kira thought about that for a moment. Surrender. Live as prisoner. Watch Captain Ashford die. Eventually be ransomed or traded or simply disappeared. Or fight. Make them pay for every meter. Give her team time to arrive. Maybe somehow survive. Negative Alpha, I'm not surrendering. Ghost out. 10 seconds. Voice was shouting now. This is final warning. Kira settled into firing position. She had clear sight lines on main approach. Limited visibility on secondary approaches. But those were more difficult terrain. They'd probably hit her from main entrance first. Standard tactics. 5 seconds. She controlled breathing. Slowed heart rate. Became still. Time is finished. Assault, assault, assault. Attack came from 3 directions simultaneously. 2 men rushed main entrance, firing as they moved. 1 came from eastern gap in rocks. Moving fast and low. Coordination was perfect. They'd done this before. Kira engaged main entrance first. 2 quick shots. Lead attacker went down with bullet through throat. Second attacker dove for cover. Returning fire. She swiveled to eastern approach. Fighter there was almost through gap. She fired 3 times. First shot missed. Second caught him in shoulder, spinning him. Third hit center mass. He fell. 5 down, 5 to go. But second man at main entrance was now laying down suppressive fire while another fighter bounded forward. Classic fire and movement. Kira couldn't engage bounding fighter without exposing herself to suppressive fire. She was pinned. Bounding fighter reached entrance. Threw something. Kira recognized it instantly. Flashbang grenade. She squeezed eyes shut, opened mouth, trying to mitigate effects. Grenade detonated with sound like end of world. Even with eyes closed, flash was blinding. Concussive wave felt like being hit in head with hammer. Ears rang, vision swam, balance gone. She heard footsteps entering shelter. Multiple attackers. They were coming. Training took over. Even disoriented, even half blind. She brought rifle up, fired toward sound. 1 round, 2, 3. She heard scream, body hitting floor. She'd hit someone, but there were more. They were inside her defensive perimeter now. Close quarters, range where sniper rifle became liability instead of asset. Figure loomed out of darkness. Kira swung rifle-like club, connected with something, heard grunt. Then someone grabbed rifle, tried to wrench it away. She let go, transitioned to sidearm, drew and fired in one motion. Figure dropped, 6 down, 4 to go. Her hearing was returning. She could hear Captain Ashford shouting something. Couldn't make out words over ringing. Another attacker came from her left. She spun, fired, missed, fired again, hit him in leg. He went down screaming. 7 down, 3 to go. But her slide locked back. Empty magazine. And before she could reload, someone hit her from behind. Impact drove her to ground. Pistol skittered away across stone floor. Weight landed on her back. Hands grabbed arms, trying to pin them. She twisted, using size and flexibility to slip partially free. Drove elbow back into something soft. Felt grip loosen. She rolled, created space. Hand found knife. KA bar came free of sheath with whisper of steel on Kydex. Attacker came at her again. She saw his face in lightning flash. Young, maybe 25. Determined. He grabbed for knife hand. She let him think he had control, then pivoted. Using his momentum against him, blade found his inner thigh. Femoral artery opened. He stumbled back. Already dying. 8 down, 2 to go, plus Volkov wherever he was. Kira scrambled for pistol, found it, loaded fresh magazine. Hands were shaking. Adrenaline and exhaustion and lingering effects of flashbang. Shelter had gone quiet. 2 remaining attackers were reassessing. They'd come in expecting to overwhelm single defender. Instead, they'd lost 3 more men in less than 60 seconds. Kira moved back to Captain Ashford's position. He was staring at her with wide eyes. How did you SEAL training, sir, and refusing to quit? She checked his bandages, still seeping blood, but no worse. Stay here. Stay quiet. Where are you going? To finish this. She moved toward shelter entrance, every sense heightened. 2 attackers left, plus Volkov. But where were they? Radio crackled. Master Chief Callahan's voice. Ghost, we heard sustained gunfire. Report status. She whispered into Mike. Alpha, I've engaged and eliminated multiple hostiles. Estimate 2 to 3 remaining. Still holding position with Captain Ashford. Jesus Christ, Ghost. Hold on. We're coming as fast as we can. Copy Alpha. Ghost out. Sound from deeper in shelter. Scrape of boots on stone. Kira moved toward it. Pistol up, finger on trigger. Shelter branched into 3 separate chambers. Sound had come from middle chamber. She approached carefully, using every piece of cover. Checking corners. The chamber was empty. No, not empty. There was blood on floor. Trail leading deeper. Someone wounded had retreated this way. She followed blood trail into narrow passage. Passage opened into larger chamber. And there, in dim light, filtering through cracks in rock, she found Viktor Volkov. He was sitting with back against wall. Blood soaked his left side. One of her rounds must have hit him during assault. His weapon lay on ground 3 meters away, out of reach. But he was smiling. Impressive, he said in Russian accent. Very impressive. You kill 8 of my men. You are small woman, but you fight like entire squad. Kira kept pistol trained on him. Where are the other 2? They run. When they see you kill Dmitri and Pavel in dark, they decide this is not worth money. Smart men. He coughed. Blood appeared on lips. I am not so smart. I stay. Professional pride. He gestured weakly at wound. And I think I cannot run far with this. So I wait. I meet Ghost who killed my men. Kira moved closer. keeping pistol steady, kicked his weapon farther away. Volkov laughed, then winced in pain. Careful. Professional to end. I respect this. He studied her face. Your father. He was soldier. Coast Guard rescue swimmer. He died saving people in hurricane. Volkov nodded slowly. This explains much. You come from warrior family. This is in your blood. He coughed again. I am also from warrior family. Soviet Navy, then Spetsnaz. 30 years of war. And I die in American mountains. Shot by girl who weighs 56 kilos. Fate has sense of humor. His breathing was becoming labored. Kira could hear fluid in lungs. Punctured lung. He was right. He didn't have long. Volkov, why were you here? What was mission? We were hired. Money from does not matter. Now who hired us? We were to take American military personnel during storm. Use as leverage. Simple job. Good money. He laughed. Blood bubbled from mouth. But we did not expect Ghost and Hurricane. Did not expect someone who understands storms like you do. This was our mistake. His eyes started to lose focus. He reached into pocket. Slowly. Kira's pistol followed movement. He pulled out photograph. Showed it to her. Young woman, maybe 23 years old, standing in front of Moscow State University. Smiling. Dark hair. Volkov's eyes. My daughter, Irina. Moscow, will you? He coughed violently. Will you make sure she gets this? Tell her I paid part as soldier. Not criminal. She is all I had left. Kira looked at photo, at man who had tried to kill her commanding officer, at father who wanted his daughter to have one last memory, at complexity that war always brings. I'll make sure she gets it, and I'll tell her you died as warrior. That much is true. Volkov's head slumped forward. Breath left his body in long rattling sigh. Viktor Volkov was dead. Kira stood there for a moment, looking at man she'd killed. Professional, father, man who'd made choices that led him to this moment. Man who 40 years ago had watched his brother die and sworn revenge on America. Man who in different circumstances might have been ally instead of enemy. She reached down, took photograph from his hand, pocketed it carefully. She would make sure it got where it needed to go. She would tell Irina her father had died believing in something, that he'd been soldier to end. That was truth. Not whole truth, but truth enough for daughter to hold on to. Keyed radio. Alpha, this is Ghost. Primary hostile is deceased. I count 8 enemy KIA. 2 fled area. I'm returning to Captain Ashford's position now. Copy Ghost. Excellent work. We are 25 minutes from your position. Hold tight. 25 minutes. They'd been through hell, but they just needed to hold for 25 more minutes. Kira returned to alcove where she'd left Captain Ashford. He was still conscious. Barely. Did you get him? Yes, sir. It's over. Threat is neutralized. Good. That's good. His eyes focused on her face. Ghost, Kira, what you did tonight. Coming out here, finding me, fighting off 8 armed men by yourself in Category 4 Hurricane. That's most extraordinary thing I've witnessed in 23 years military service. Sir, don't say you were just doing your job. You went so far beyond Call of Duty that Call of Duty is dot on horizon behind you. He gripped her hand weakly. When we get back, I'm recommending you for Navy Cross, and I'm going to make sure every single person who doubted you knows exactly what you accomplished. You didn't just save my life, you proved something that needed proving. Or Kira felt something in her chest tighten. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ghost, for understanding what my lessons really meant, for refusing to leave me behind. They sat in silence for a while, listening to storm. It was weakening. Wind had dropped from Category 4 to Category 2. Worst had passed, just like everything else. Worst always passes eventually. You just have to survive long enough. 22 minutes later, she heard voices outside shelter. American voices. SEAL voices. Ghost Captain Ashford, call out your position, Kira shouted back. In here. We're in back chamber. Friendlies coming out. She helped Captain Ashford to his feet, supporting most of his weight. Together they made their way towards shelter entrance. First person through entrance was Master Chief Graham Callahan. His face showed mix of relief and disbelief when he saw them. Jesus Christ, you're both alive. Yes, Master Chief, mission accomplished. Behind Callahan came Senior Chief Marcus Lindgren. He stopped dead when he saw bodies scattered throughout shelter. 8 dead men, evidence of battle that should have been impossible. Donovan, he said quietly, what the hell happened here? I completed my mission, Senior Chief. That's what happened. Doc Sullivan rushed forward, took over Captain Ashford's care. Quickly assessed condition, started calling for medevac helicopter that was now able to fly in weakened storm. Tommy Reeves walked through shelter, checking bodies, securing weapons. Ghost, you did all this by yourself. Yes. Holy hell. Master Chief Callahan pulled Kira aside while team worked. Ghost, I need you to walk me through exactly what happened, from moment you left our shelter to now. Kira gave him concise after-action report. Tracking, observation, decision to engage, firefight, assault on her position, close quarters battle, Volkov's death. Callahan listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Petty Officer Donovan, you disobeyed direct orders. Yes, Master Chief, I did. You engaged numerically superior force against explicit instructions to withdraw. Yes, Master Chief. You conducted solo assault on fortified position with no backup and no support. Yes, Master Chief. And you somehow managed to eliminate 8 enemy combatants, save Captain Ashford's life, and survive with only minor injuries. Kira looked down at herself, uniform torn and bloody, hands scraped raw, face bruised from close quarters fighting. Minor might be generous, Master Chief. Callahan shook head slowly. Ghost, what you did tonight was either most brilliant tactical operation I've ever witnessed or most reckless. I haven't decided which yet. Can it be both, Master Chief? Ghost of Smile touched his face. Yeah, I think it can. He put the hand on her shoulder. You saved his life. He was dead if you hadn't done what you did. So while I should probably write you up for disobeying orders, I think instead I'm going to recommend you for highest valor decoration this nation can bestow. Senior Chief Lindgren approached them. His face was difficult to read. Donovan, I owe you an apology. Senior Chief, you don't... Yes, I do. I told you this was suicide. I told you that you would die out here for nothing. I questioned your abilities, your judgment, your right to be on this team. He took breath. I was wrong about everything. Kira met his eyes. Senior Chief, you had legitimate tactical concerns. Numbers didn't support success. On paper, this mission was impossible. But you did it anyway. Yes, Senior Chief. How about, she thought about that. How had she done it? Skills her father taught. Training Navy provided. Determination that came from refusing to leave people behind. Understanding that some missions matter more than survival. I didn't think about numbers, Senior Chief. I just thought about mission. Get to Captain Ashford. Keep him alive. Hold position until help arrived. One step at time, one shot at time, one decision at time. Lindgren nodded slowly. From this moment forward, Donovan, you have my complete respect and complete trust. And if anyone on any team ever questions whether you belong, they'll answer to me. You're not just SEAL, you're kind of SEAL rest of us measure ourselves against. Helicopter arrived 43 minutes later. Storm had weakened enough for safe flight operations. Doc Sullivan had Captain Ashford stabilized and ready for transport. As they loaded Captain onto helicopter, he grabbed Kira's hand one more time. Ghost, thank you for everything. Just following your example, sir. You taught us terrain analysis and survival psychology. I applied lessons. I taught you tactics and procedures. But what you did tonight that came from somewhere else, that came from who you are. Your father would understand. You honored his memory not by copying him, but by understanding what he understood. He smiled weakly. Some missions matter more than following orders. Helicopter lifted off into braking storm. Kira watched it disappear into clouds, carrying Captain Ashford to medical care that would save his life. Walk back to base took 4 hours through hurricane's aftermath. Trees down across every path, streams swollen to rivers, mud and debris everywhere. But team moved together. And for first time, Kira felt like she was truly part of that team. Not outsider, not one who had to constantly prove herself. Just another SEAL who had done her job. When they finally reached Operations Center, word of what had happened had already spread. Personnel stopped what they were doing to watch SEAL Team 5 walk in, to see a young woman who had walked into Category 4 hurricane and come back with her captain. Debriefings lasted for hours. Intelligence officers wanted every detail about Viktor Volkov and his operation. Command wanted to understand tactical decisions. Medical personnel needed to examine Kira's injuries. Through it all, Kira remained calm and professional. She answered every question. She walked them through every decision point. She showed them on maps exactly where everything had happened. When they mentioned Volkov's daughter, she pulled out photograph, explained his final words, said she would ensure it reached Moscow through proper channels, that even enemies deserve dignity in death. The intelligence officer nodded, respected that. But when they finally let her go, when she finally made it to her quarters, she sat on her bunk. And for first time in 14 hours, she let herself feel weight of what had happened. She had killed 8 men, watched them die, taken lives in close quarters combat that was brutal and personal. She pulled out her father's rescue swimmer badge, held it in her hands. "Dad," she whispered, "I did it. I brought him home, just like you taught me." She thought she would cry. Thought emotional release would come in tears. But instead she felt something else. Quiet certainty. Deep knowledge that she had done what needed to be done. That she had honored her father's memory in most meaningful way possible. She had refused to leave someone behind. She had walked into hell and brought them home. And she had proven beyond any doubt that she belonged. 3 days later, Captain Nathaniel Ashford was upgraded from critical to stable condition. Doctors said he would make full recovery. Compound fracture was healing. Blood loss had been replaced. He would walk again. He would lead again. And his first request when he regained full consciousness was to see Petty Officer First Class Kira Donovan. When Kira entered his hospital room, he was sitting up in bed, leg in cast, shoulder bandaged, but eyes clear and focused. "Go sit down." She sat in chair beside bed. "I've spent last 3 days thinking about what happened in those mountains," he said. "About choice you made, risk you took, enemy you defeated." He leaned forward slightly. "I spoke with Master Chief Callahan. You're being recommended for Navy Cross. Do you understand what that represents?" "It's high honor, sir. It's second highest decoration for valor in United States military. It's given for extraordinary heroism in combat, and in your case, it's completely deserved." He smiled. "But I want you to understand something, Ghost. This medal isn't just about what you did in those mountains. It's about what you represent. You represent future of naval special warfare. You represent evolution of what it means to be warrior. Not size, not strength, but competence, determination, refusal to quit." Kira felt weight of those words. "Sir, I didn't do this to make statement. I did it to save your life." "I know, that's what makes it meaningful. You weren't trying to prove anything. You were just doing your job, at highest possible level." He extended hand. "Thank you, Ghost, for bringing me home." She shook his hand. "Anytime, sir." 4 months later, Kira stood in dress uniform at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. Ceremony was formal, official, tended by senior leadership from across naval special warfare. Citation was read aloud. "For extraordinary heroism and conspicuous gallantry in action against armed enemy while serving with SEAL Team 5 during combat operations in Blue Ridge Mountains, Petty Officer Donovan displayed exceptional courage, tactical proficiency, and unwavering dedication to her teammates under most adverse conditions imaginable." Navy Cross was pinned to her uniform by Secretary of Navy himself. Her mother stood in audience. Dr. Patricia Donovan, tears streaming down face, holding her late husband's Coast Guard medal. SEAL Team 5 stood in formation, every member present to witness one of their own receive nation's recognition. And Senior Chief Marcus Lindgren, who had once questioned whether she belonged, stood at attention with pride written across his face. After ceremony, after official photos and handshakes and congratulations, Kira found quiet moment alone. She walked to beach, still in dress uniform, looked out at Pacific Ocean. She pulled out her father's rescue swimmer badge, held it up to catch sunlight. "We did it, Dad," she said quietly. "We brought him home." Wind carried her words away. Waves continued their eternal rhythm. And Kira Donovan Ghost, who walked through hell, stood there feeling something she hadn't felt in 14 years since her father died. Peace. She had honored his memory. She had proven herself. She had saved life when everyone said it was impossible. And she had done it not by being biggest or strongest, but by being exactly who she was. Daughter who learned from her father. Student who learned from teachers. SEAL who refused to quit. 1 year later, Kira stood on beach at sunrise. Chief Petty Officer chevrons on uniform. 27 years old. Youngest female CPO in SEAL history. She'd been assigned to Naval Special Warfare Development Group. Her extreme weather operations doctrine was now required training for all SEAL candidates. Captain Ashford had returned to full duty and personally recommended her for Team 6 selection. Young trainee approached, 22 years old, female, uncertain. "Chief Donovan, they say someone my size can't handle field operations." Kira looked at her, saw herself years ago, heard same doubts. "Good," she said. "Then they won't see you coming." She pulled out her father's rescue swimmer badge, held it to catch morning light. Legacy wasn't in medals. It was in this moment, passing forward what her father had taught her. You have to go out when everyone says impossible. And if you're good enough, if you refuse to quit, you come back. Trainee ran to join others. Kira watched her go, then turned toward training grounds. She thought about Volkov, about photographs she'd sent to Moscow with letter explaining his father had died as soldier, about complexity that war always brings, about enemies who in different world might have been allies. She thought about her father, about choice he'd made in that helicopter, about understanding finally that legacy isn't about repeating past. It's about honoring principles in your own way, ready for whatever came next.